Hi guys, this time we're going old school and we're going to write a Hangman game in the terminal. This should be a beginner-friendly tutorial, so I'll try to avoid using anything beyond if statements and loops. So if you've done Java for a couple of weeks, then you probably have an idea of the system.out print line, which just prints whatever you type in to the terminal. And that's our primary output. And then we'll use something like scanner to do input. It's possibly the easiest way to do some input. And first of all, I'm going to design the output for my game, which is going to be something like lives. I'm going to use O to represent a life. So if we do this, that means 3 lives. Then I will prompt the user for input, and this is something that they enter, a letter. We'll then have something like word, and that's going to have a full stop for letters that we didn't yet get. And for letters that we did get, suppose the word is hello, then it's going to be something like this. So we could type in H and then O, and that will give us hello. And then finally, possibly something like not used. And this is where we're going to have a subset of the alphabet, which is going to be something like that, possibly A, B, C, D. We've already used E, so it will be something like that or that. Essentially, it's going to contain some letters that we did not yet use. And that should be reasonably sufficient for output. And then we might do something like that to separate the frames, so to speak, of our game. So first of all, I'm going to replace hello world with starting game and run this. You should probably do that as well, so that you know that your environment is ready for development. If you get an error now, then you probably want to fix that error as soon as you can. Right, so we said lives. Lives is a whole number, which is why I'm going to use an int. Then we will need some kind of a main loop. If you've done any kind of game development, then you know that main loop is one of the fundamental concepts, which contains input, update, and render. Although we will not use too many of those things, but conceptually we'll still have those. So while lives is greater than 0, and that means if the user still has lives, we're going to keep running our program. We then want to probably print lives, so it's system.out.println again. We're going to say lives, so I'm just trying to match whatever this thing is. Actually, we probably don't want print line. We're going to print this, and then we're going to print some more stuff. For I0 to lives, so this is your standard for loop, which you would normally cover in the first couple of weeks of learning Java. I'm going to print O. And this will print the number, this will put O's exactly the same times as number of lives. So once we've done that, we do want a print line, so that we move to the next line. How about adding input prompt now? Let's do that. So input, and we're going to take user input now using a scanner. Don't worry too much about scanner. Unless you're going to end up writing a terminal-based app, you're never going to use this. So the easiest way to do this is to just say, this is input of type string, which is a sequence of characters, and scanner read. Was it read? Next line. There we go. Next line. So this will give us the line that the user typed. And what we need is just a single character from it. Now there are a couple of ways this could go wrong. So just heads up. But for our purposes, that should be fine, so don't worry too much. But in the future, once you know how to deal with input, you will need to handle some edge cases here. Letter, input, the first character. So we don't care what the user typed. As long as it has at least one character, we're just going to grab that character. Then we'll probably need some kind of a system to keep our words. Suppose we have an array of words. Let's call it words, and then we're going to contain, we're going to add some words in there. So just something like computer, mouse, screen, display, language. That's more than enough. We then want to pick a random word at the start of the game, which is going to be of type string. So think word, string, random word. Now here's a tip. If you want to get a random value from an array, what you could do is do math random, which gives a value between 0 and 1. Can be 0, but can never be 1, which means you can multiply that by the length of the array to get a value between 0 and the length, but never equal to length. And then if you convert it to an int, you're saying, let's get rid of all the decimal places. I just want the integer. I just want the whole number out of it. That gives you one valid index into this array, which in short means you get a random value from the array. So this is a random word that we're trying to guess. And we probably want to store the letters that the user is guessing. And the array, or the array length, is going to be the size or the length of the string, for obvious reasons, because it has exactly the same number of characters. At the start, we probably want to populate this letters array with dots, like here, so that at the start of the game, there's nothing that's been guessed. Is a dot character. What's wrong with that? Okay, so the IDE is telling me that there isn't somewhat easier way of doing that, but let's keep this version because it's clearer, and I'm guessing you're familiar with loops, so we'll keep the loop version. So we probably then want to print the word with these letters. Let's do that. Word, and then we're going to print, for each letter, we're going to print the letter itself. There we go. And we probably want a print line so that we move to the next line. Shall we run this, I wonder? Because it's important to keep your mental model with the in-game model or in-program model, and then kind of run and see. So if I type a letter like K, it has apparently 6 letters, which is good, and it has no way of stopping. We have no way of stopping the game because it's an infinite loop for now. Just close that using this stop button. We want to probably print this somewhere so that we can separate our current frame with the next frame. And then at the very end, so that we have a way of knowing when the game is finished, just say exiting game. So this gives you some kind of output in terms of, well, you can see what the output is, and then you kind of determine where the game is executing. So we've got our letter that the user guessed, and we want to see if any of those letters in random word are equal to that one. So how about going for each letter, which is random word length, getting that letter, which I'm going to call L, and then checking if L is equal to the letter that the user typed. If so, then we obviously need to update our letters array so that the word gets printed. So letters I is L. What else do we need to do? And I guess we could have a flag saying we've found the letter, or is guess correct, which is by default false. And if we've done at least one letter, then is guess correct true. Once we've gone through all of the letters, how about we check if guess was correct? Because if it wasn't, we need to reduce the number of lives, right? So lives is minus minus, which is an equivalent way of saying lives minus 1. And then what we could do is check, well, we don't really need to check for lives because this will exit anyway, this loop. So let's try and run this. I think we're still missing a few bits, but we'll get to that. So starting game, we probably want at the start of the game to say how many letters there are in the word. So once we've picked the random word, how about we print saying the word has random word length letters. So the word has 7 letters. Let's try input A. A is not there. How about E? Okay, that's odd. So we've done A, but we printed, oh yeah, we printed the word before we did the letter guess. So that should be changed. The order of that. So as soon as we entered the letter and checked the guess correct or not, we then are going to print the word. Let's try A. A is not there. E. E is there. I no longer remember what I entered. I think it was mouse. M. M is there. So you can see the word getting populated with our letters. O, U, and S. So we're done now. And it also reduced the number of lives correctly when we gave an A, and A wasn't there, so it reduced the number of lives. That's good. It's still waiting for input because we didn't set the win condition. So we need to figure out how to do that. So we've printed our word by using letters. What we could do is have another boolean for checking is game finished. We set it to true by default. Maybe move it up here. So I'm assuming you haven't done methods, which is why I'm keeping everything in a single main method. As you realize, this is getting out of hand really quickly. So as soon as you've done methods, start isolating these into separate methods. Otherwise, it's really difficult to keep track of where things are. So is game finished? If at least one letter is still a dot, then we say is game finished is false. And then once we've done the entire thing, if is game finished, we're going to say you won. And then we're going to break out of the loop. And then once we break out of the loop, we could also check for lives. If lives is 0, then obviously the game was lost. We might also print the word as well. The word was plus random word. In case you get lost at any point, I'm going to upload this to GitHub and give you the link in the video description so you can find the entire source code of this tutorial. Let's just for the last time play this game. So it has 8 letters. Is there an A? Nope. Is there an E? There's an E. Let's do H. I just want to get it to 1 live. Actually, I want it to lose so that we can see that the game actually works. Oh, B. Yeah, so we can lose, which is good. That's one way to test the condition. And let's see if we can win this. And then finally, we're going to add the used letters. I think it was language. N, G, E, and then U. Nice, we won the game. The word was language. Finally, what I didn't do was not used characters. And this is something that you can do as an extension to this tutorial. So I'm going to give you a start, and then you can complete the task. I'm going to have a string called not used. I'm going to add A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So that's the entire English alphabet. So what you want to do is replace those with a dot when the user types that letter. I'm going to print not used after we printed the word. Not used. So let's do an A, and then we can see that not used is just the entire alphabet, but it doesn't get this replaced with a dot, and that's your task. So if you want to complete that, pause the video now and do the task, and then come back. The solution is actually really simple. So I'm assuming that you've done the task, and now here is how you might do it. Not used, replace the letter which the user typed with a dot. So the solution is actually really simple because the standard Java library provides us with a couple of useful functions to operate on strings. The word has 7 letters. Let's go with an A. So you can see that we've got an A in the word, but regardless of that, not used is now saying that we've used an A. So there is a dot there. And these are the letters that we didn't use. Let's go for AB. And then B is gone from here. I lost a life. Let's go with a Z. The Z is no longer there, and I lost another life. I actually don't remember what that word is. E? Oh, the word was display. And we also used E, so it's not It does not appear in the not used word. Okay, so in this tutorial, using more or less basic Java syntax such as if statements and for and while loops, we've done a reasonably simple Hangman game in the terminal, which is about 90 lines of code, which can be possibly reduced in some of these cases. But you should definitely, as soon as you learn how to create new methods, start isolating these, extracting the functionality into a method. For example, you could have a method that takes the user input, a method that checks if the input was correct, another method that prints the game state, for example. And then you'll see that the code will become much more readable. Okay, well, I'll see you in the next Java for Beginners series video, and thanks for watching.